Well, I thought all three practices have been very good. The drills were very good. Jeff's very well organized, and they worked very hard. So it's a great start to the week.
What are you looking to see from guys up and down this roster, both veterans and new prospects?
Well, we had a chance last week, obviously, to see the youngest kids in game competition, albeit early September. Now it's a step up for some of them. Now you're into practices. The speed of it's only practice, but you can see can they keep up with the speed of the NHLers? It's quicker, and it's all part of the process of leading towards eventually getting to a 23-man roster to start the season. So one, obviously, they want to get them in, kind of organized in game shape, get their timing, shooting the puck. They skate a lot in the summer, but they don't get bumped around. So it's the next step is get into the drills and practice, get bumped around a little bit, pass the puck a little, and do everything a little quicker and sharper. And then for the players to learn the coaches' systems, how they want them to play, and who they're going to play with. So for me, it's probably more important this week for the coaches and for the players. We get a chance really more to assess them as the week goes along, and next week into the preseason games.
Steve, I'm going to throw a quote at you from June 8th, 1983. They're rebuilding. I think I have a chance. Is that the mindset you want your prospects to have?
Well, they definitely have a chance. There's spots on the roster available, and there's ice time available even when you're on the roster. Guys are fighting for spots on the roster. They're fighting for spots on the power play, on the penalty killing unit. That goes for kids and veterans. So, but for the younger players, whether they are graduating from junior hockey or played 1 year in the American League or 2 years, they're pushing to make the team, and there's an opportunity for someone to make it, several of them.
You know how valuable the captaincy is to a team wearing that seat for so long. What went into the conversation with Dylan, and what went into the decision to hold off on making a captain and having 4 alternates this year?
Well, I would say, you mentioned being a captain in the NHL. I don't think you need to wear a C to be a leader on a hockey team or on any team. And not only Dylan, the rest of the guys, looking for them all to step forward as leaders on the ice and off the ice and kind of set the tone of the way we're going to play, the way we're going to conduct ourselves. So for me, I want to get to know all these guys. A few of the older players I know somewhat from when I left the organization, but it's an opportunity to take the time to get to know everyone, and when we eventually do name a captain, I intend that person to be the captain for a long time.
Do you have a time frame in mind of when you'd like to make that decision? Is it possible you'll make it during the middle of the year, or prefer going the whole year without? Or
I don't have a timeline.
Just with Dylan specifically, in watching him from afar and in meeting with him a couple weeks ago, what has impressed you on and off the ice about what he does?
Well, I watched him last year. Took a significant step. He and several of the young players became very assertive. But what impresses me the most, obviously, is his speed and his competitiveness. And I think in year 4, I believe last year for him, he's just entering the prime of his career. He spent his first few years. You figure out the league and you get comfortable and understand what it takes and what you need to improve upon. From talking with everyone, from spending a little bit of time with him, he's a worker. He's driven. He wants to do well. Again, he's just entering his prime years, and I expect him only to continue to improve.
When you arrive here and get ready to kind of take hold of this team, what is the image you want it to represent? What kind of team do you want to have on the ice?
A good team.
Are there other characteristics? I mean, can you elaborate a little?
I didn't expect tough questions on day one.
That was a tough one.
Again, we're building, and we've got a mix of veteran and young players. What I'm trying to do is put the most skilled, the most competitive, the most driven, the most intelligent hockey players on the ice. We're trying to amass as many of those players as we can, regardless of their age or where they come from, and ultimately be a good team.
Can it be beneficial to have 9 exhibition games, just because it will really be an opportunity to give those, especially maybe some of those young guys, good looks?
Yeah, I don't know what the ideal number of preseason games it is. Some of the players, the veteran guys, I don't know that they need to play a lot, but having 9 games gives us a chance to me in my first year and not knowing some of the players well, gives us a chance to give them multiple games, and some of the younger guys who might only get 1 will get 2 or 3, and a few of them will play 5, 6, 7. Probably, I don't know that we'll have anybody playing 8 or 9, but yeah, there's pros and cons to having that many games, but in this situation, I think it's going to be good because, like you say, some guys are going to get a lot more opportunities.
What were your early impressions of Mo Sider having watched him for the prospect tournament?
I think he did very well. 18-year-old defenseman. He logged a lot of ice time, played in all situations. So I see, and he's only 18 years old. It's a big step coming into this tournament. And you watch the guys that do well in this tournament generally turn out to be pretty good players in the NHL. But obviously, he's 6'3". He shows good hockey sense, most importantly. He showed good skills, and what we really were impressed with, and because it's a different style of hockey on a smaller rink, he seemed very comfortable with the physical game and played with an edge and was very aggressive. So we were pleased with his first week. He's young, he's smart, so he'll figure out what he can and can't do. And but overall, I was really pleased with how he performed in the 4 games.
Steve, he said that earlier in the week, I know there was talk, is he going to go back to Germany? Will he stay in North America? He indicated he wants to stay in North America. That's his plan, but he ultimately said it is up to you. Do you have an idea of where you would like him to play yet?
I have an idea. I'm not sure
Will
where
you
he's going to
please share
play
it?
yet. No, he's here this week. He's going to play in the preseason. We're going to take it a step at a time, and let's get through preseason. We have options. The options are Detroit, the American Hockey League, the NHL, the American Hockey League, or back to Europe, and all 3 are potentially good options, and we'll take it one step at a time.
Joe Veleno, 6 power play goals, I believe, in the tournament. Can you assess his play? I mean, he really worked hard last season in Drummondville to make himself a 200-foot player. Where do you think Joe's game's at?
Well, you say he worked hard last year, which is great. I know he worked extremely hard this summer. He spent the majority of his time in Detroit training. He's showed up in very good shape. He appears to be a very dedicated and serious young man that wants to do well in the NHL. Based on the 4 games I watched him play, I would agree with you. I thought he played very well on both ends of the rink. He looks like a solid 2-way player. Showed a really nice release on his shot, scored some very good goals. So, young guy that played hard. He looks very determined, and that's very encouraging for us.
I know it's a prospects tournament, but to win it, only the second time, and granted, many of those years the Red Wings didn't have many prospects because the team was so good, but what does it mean to win the prospects tournament, and is that something that they can build on those prospects that actually won it?
Well, again, they played 4 games. I'm really encouraged by play any competition you like to win. It's better to win than to lose. So in that sense, we're thrilled they came up and played and had to play Dallas in the final game and played very well. But most importantly, the kids competed really hard. I think they learned from it. Some of these kids are just 18 years of age. They're playing against some 23 and 24-year-olds. Every team's at a little bit of a different stage in their cycle. St. Louis is up here. They just won the Stanley Cup. They were a veteran team. They made moves in order to build a cup contender, so they didn't have a lot of prospects here. Whereas we're at a different cycle. The New York Rangers, you look at them with a ton of draft picks over the last couple of years. They have a lot of guys here. But more important than winning, the fact that you mentioned Joe Veleno, Moritz Seider, even like Giovanni Smith, who played in the American Hockey League last year. Zadina, they had good weeks, and it's preparing them for, it's important for them the next week. So it was a good build-up for them moving forward. What's encouraging for us, even, I mentioned Chase Pearson or Ryan Kuffner, they did really well as well. So they're, looks like we have a group of prospects here, and we're hoping these guys can continue to improve to eventually become NHLers.
Zadina had 5 assists in the tournament, but I know he didn't get any goals. Obviously the shot's there. I mean, it's pretty incredible. What do you think he needs to do, or is he's just young, he just needs to settle himself down a bit?
Well, I thought he was dangerous. You mentioned he had 5 assists. He had numerous great scoring chances. He can really shoot the puck. He gets open. He's got an instinct for getting open. Again, he's only 19. Eligible to play junior last year, and he did very well in the American Hockey League. It's just adjusting to the pro game, and he'll continue to get physically stronger and gain experience. And with that strength and experience, he'll get more accustomed to the speed of the pro game. But overall, I was really pleased with how he looked in the week, and I think it's very encouraging. Again, not knowing him very well, but talking with a lot of the people on the staff that know him, he's got a good attitude. He's open-minded. He wants to improve, and with a good attitude and an open mind and the work ethic, he will improve. So I think he's projecting in the right direction. I was really encouraged by the week he had.
What's the working relationship been like with Jeff Blashill so far? What do you like about him, and from his relationship with Coop, what did you know about him before?
I knew more from before. We played, our American League team played against Grand Rapids in the finals a couple of years ago. I learned more from probably Coop, and I didn't necessarily talk a lot about him, so I talked more with Kenny really about Jeff. But what I liked about working with him this summer, he's extremely organized. He's an intelligent guy. Again, someone who's open-minded to ideas and wants to try different things. Again, he's won at every level he's coached at, and when that happens, it's not just being lucky. So, I watch this first day of practices. The guy, it's organized, it's intense, it's very productive. So, I've appreciated his forthrightfulness, if that's the right word, and his honesty. It's been we just started. We haven't lost a game yet, so everything's hunky dory.
Steve, overall, pleased with the depth in the organization. Guys like Sedina and down the road, whenever Sider on defense, maybe Kasky, Lindstrom, the forwards. That there's a good group, whether they make the team this year or at some point this season, in place to keep the rebuild going.
Well, we need more, but I'm encouraged. You mentioned those names and several others. There's a good group of young players that are prospects that have potential. We're going to try and add to that group, but with that group, we're trying to create an environment that allows them to go from prospects to good NHL players, and that's the big step.
I know it's early in your career here as a GM, but how much do you get excited for the future, and how much can you look towards the future with a rebuild that's going on right now?
Well, it's an exciting opportunity. It's a great challenge. There's a lot of work to be done, but it's a fantastic opportunity for myself to come back to the Red Wing organization. The Ilitches bought the team in '82. I came in '83. We kind of went through it, and to eventually win a Stanley Cup was very gratifying. And I'm hoping we can again do that at some point in the future.
Steve, you preach patience, and is that because it took 14 years for you to win your first cup?
You're always negative, Art. It just takes time. I can't tell you, hey, in 3 years we're going to be this, in 5 years we're going to be this. All I can tell you is this is the way we're going to do it, and if we stick with it and we get a little bit of luck on the way, hopefully it'll happen before 14 years.
May I ask you a speculative question? And I'm not sure you're going to answer, but I want to ask anyway. If Sider is maybe that player that the Red Wings really catch a break on, excels at the AHL level, if you were to bring him up to Detroit, would he stay, or would you want to just see him play 9 games because you don't want to burn the first year off of his deal? I know it's
well, if he plays 9 games, we'll decide after 9 games at that point. Again, it's our first day of training camp. All I can tell you is I was pleased with the way he played last week. Get a chance to practice with the NHLers and the pro players this week, and we'll get him into preseason games. But again, I don't have a plan. We're just going to let it play itself out, and if he gets into 9 games and we have to make a decision, we'll make a decision after 9 games.
Do you think he's fast-tracked, or is he on a fast track if you look at certain prospects that he might be that guy, though? I know I'm asking.
I don't want to. again, I was encouraged by the week that he had last week. I think he's going to be a good player in the NHL. Is that this year, next year, or 2 years down the road? I'm not sure.
I mean, teams are judged on wins and losses, but do you anticipate? I mean, how they play competitive-wise? Are they competitive? Will that maybe matter more than the wins and losses, just because of this?
From the rookie tournament, you mean, or
No, just going into the season, just as a group, just
Yeah,
because the team
you know,
being where it is.
with preseason games?
Just in general, yeah.
Well, I think one. You look at the play. If you're not competitive, you're not going to play in the NHL. That's the reality. You have to be a competitive on the ice, off the ice. That's the inner drive that they have. You have to do that to play in the league, I think. So for the team, our ultimate goal here is to win a Stanley Cup at some point. We want to show improvement. Our record every year, you're trying to improve, but I sit here today in September, and we'll watch the team in October through the entire season. We want, I'm looking at guys. You've got players that are going to be 20 years old and 19 years old. You got guys that are 35, 36, all at different stages. Are they helping us? Are they making us a better team? And then ultimately, part of being a good player is being real competitive. Well, I think Adam has a chance to be a top 9 forward in the NHL. He spent the better part of 3 seasons in the minors after being drafted. Last year being his first full season in the NHL. I think he's got good puck skills. I think he's got a good shot. He's worked extremely hard. His skating is good. He's a very powerful, strong guy. Difficult to play against because he's thick and he's hard. I think he's got pretty good hockey sense. For us, acquire a player that I think one day he could play in the top 9. He has that potential. We'll see if he can fulfill it. That's 23 years of age. He fits in with our group of players and the young players coming up. So we were able to acquire him.
Did you get much of a look at Oliver Kasky before he was signed, or like?
No, I did a little bit on television actually. Okay. Yeah, and when he was at the World Championships, and we watched it. We were able to see some of his games on video.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Good. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. General
Now I gotta do my left arm.